Kia ora guys, what's up? We are here with Andrew. We're currently situated in our cow shed. So behind us we've got a 40 barrel rotary milking 550 cows here. Now we rely heavily on this operation here spinning properly. Look, today guys, this is going to be a really good video because we're going to go in depth about some of the situations that actually happen on farm, and I suppose I'm going to be in the hot seat here. Andrew's going to be sort of asking me some questions about some problems that we've had, not only in the past, but could potentially happen in the future as well. So we're just going to pass the reins straight on to Andrew. So mate, the stage is yours once again, and we'll crack straight into some of the common agri issues we face on farm.
Yeah, cool, thanks for that, T. We haven't touched on some of these issues in the last episodes, but today, you mentioned you've been here since 2012.
Yep.
In those first couple of years, especially that first season, it would have been pretty tough for you getting to know your way around this farm, some of the risks on it. So, you just pointed out the roastery shed here, how it works, getting used to things. From experience, that is where most of the incidents happen, is the beginning of the first season.
Yeah.
So for you, what was the most challenging part of coming into a new system, new farm, new shed?
Yeah, well, I suppose one of the biggest issues is that as we move into the future, we're getting younger and younger people moving into these leadership roles, who may be good leaders or may be good at running farms, but sometimes don't have the backing or the advice that they need. And with likes of myself, I sort of come in and started operating this big business and really had no understanding of insurance at all. And fortunately, we didn't have any issues. But if all of the issues that I've had over the last 8 years of running my own business happen in that first year, I don't think I'd probably be in business at the moment.
And you probably hit the nail on the head. Is that often you do get away with things, but you can't rely on that. Hoping for the best is not a method of running a business these days. Technology is something that's moving so quickly, and on farms, on dairy farms in particular, people are working hard, working long hours. One momentary lapse of concentration could be a big incident. So, the shed is the key to your business. If you can't operate here,
yeah.
Have you thought about what you might do if the shed is out of action? Yeah,
look, it's been a very scary thought process actually. Not only thinking about it, but then trying to action a bit of a backup plan. So we do have a plan B and C if things are going to break down here. So we have actually gone to our neighbours, sort of discussed anything that what's going to be the best outcome. And fortunately, our neighbour to the south, we happen to drop off a few beers every now and then, just in case we do have a meltdown at our cow shed, just to keep in the good books there with our neighbour. And we would probably have to milk our cows through his shed. And look, he's got the same size cow shed as ours, and we've talked about when we would be milking, how we would get the cows through to the shed, and those sorts of things.
They have to walk, because we were at the other end of the farm a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
And from there to the new shed could be quite a long way, so that's going to impact the production of the cows, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think we'd be milking in very different hours to what we're milking at now. We've got a 2 kilometre walk on the opposite side of our farm, so over there was, it's going to add another huge issue there.
Yeah, because that's all stuff that we would look at when we're building a policy. So people say, "Oh, dairy sheds don't burn." Well, they do, because I've seen it firsthand. I know in this area there has been fires in dairy sheds.
Yep.
And it's never a quick fix. It's going to take an extensive amount of time to get back up on your feet. And we have policies in place that help protect you financially for that loss of production. So you can't milk for a period of time. How are you going to get by? How are you going to feed your staff? Because without milking, you haven't got anything. You have to dry off the cows earlier. There's the season gone. So sometimes in parts of the country, your neighbours might milk twice a day.
Yep.
How are you going to fit in around that?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it even possible?
Yep.
So it's hoping for the best is probably not good enough these days. I think it's really about having a plan in place with insurance part of that.
Yeah, definitely.
So that you are looked after financially, so that you can just actually not worry about it. And if that does happen, then you're going to be taken care of.
Yeah, strategic plan's definitely going to come into the fore there if we do have a big breakdown. And I suppose the biggest worry for myself, mate, is not so much business. I mean, it's easy for me to finish my business, but for me it's the people aspect of things, guys. Is I employ 3 people on this farm. They all have families. You know, they support their families as well, especially with the likes of Goody, who's you know, supporting his family back in India. And I think, you know, if I was to tell my staff that I don't no longer have work for them there, it's not only going to hurt me financially, but more so, you know, it's going to hurt the soul, mate, because I think of them as a part of my own family, because they've been working with me for 3 years now. So yeah, it's definitely something to talk about.
Yep, and these discussions need to be had well before you actually arrive on farm. So you don't want to be having a discussion 2 weeks before you move on to a farm. It's something you should be doing months in advance, because there is a lot to take into consideration. You said last time that, you know, if you move from one farm with 100 cows and one with 500 cows, different beast, you know, you might move to a shed that's double the size. You need 3, 4, 5 staff there. That changes everything. So
milk cover and that sort of stuff.
Milk cover needs to change, but also having procedures in place in the shed itself that reminds people what they have to do. So, you know, turning vats on, turning them off at the right time, making sure the milk's at the right temperature when it gets picked up.
Yep.
Making sure that cows that have been highlighted with high nitrate levels are picked up, so they don't get milked the next day, or they get milked out of the herd. So yeah, it's just about having a system in place that avoids having problems.
Wicked. So for the viewers out there that are looking at stepping into like managers roles and contract milking, share milking roles, what advice can you give them? You know, they're going to be applying for these jobs and probably getting them in the next 2 to 3 months, and taking over those farms in June 2021. What advice can you give them around sort of ensuring that they have insurance that's going to cover them? Do they start looking at those sorts of things now, once they've got the contract, or do we wait till we move on to the new farm that we're on, and then start getting those systems in place?
Yeah, sooner rather than later, to be honest. So certainly not anywhere. So if you're looking at 1st of June beginning for the next season, you probably want to be having that discussion in April at the latest.
Okay.
So because that's also when the previous people are finishing up.
Yep.
So if you are moving from one farm to another, is that whole changeover process isn't impacted with setting up your insurance. That's already done and dusted. So.
Yep.
Yeah, and also that gives us time to work out what the best policy is, and for me to work out, come out and see the new farm, where you're going to be, where your risks are, and put a policy in place around that. So
awesome. And often, sometimes, as a contract milker moving on to a new farm, we can often get faced with challenges that aren't necessarily our management issue, but they're all of a sudden our cost. So, for example, if you turn up to a farm and you've got a full effluent pond, or there's issues on farm that you have to pay for, what's the process there?
Yeah, so you touched it. So if you're a contract milker, you don't actually own any of the equipment on the farm, so you are responsible for any damage that you cause to the farm itself. So you need to make sure that you have the right liability insurance. Same with the cows themselves. Actually, you're looking after those cows on behalf of somebody else. So during the winter time, if you overfeed them on fodder bait or any other winter feed, and they overeat and they die from nitrate poisoning, effectively the buck falls on you, because you're the one taking care of them.
Right.
Other parts of the country, you've got irrigation, you've got pumps, you've got effluent ponds. Stuff happens there that you're liable.
Yeah.
So, and there's real differences there between, well, ourselves being brokers and insurance companies as to how that insurance works, and it's quite important that you understand what your responsibilities are there.
Wicked. So,
and checking your contracts too, to make sure that matches.
Awesome, mate.